Okay, so this is Albert Ellis, and this is his grand theory. And I'm going to explain this to you, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because I'm going to keep referring to it. And this is called rational emotive therapy. And it was based, as all cognitive psychology is based, on the fact that what you think is how you feel, and how you feel is how you act. Okay, very simple. So A is an activator, and an activator is neutral, meaning that different people respond to events in different ways. So an activator, well, okay, let's use as an activator, I come to this lecture tonight. You know, you decided to come to the lecture tonight, you're sitting here listening to this guy. That's the activator. Now, along with events that happen in our lives, there are beliefs, right? B, and the belief, depending on the belief, is how we're going to feel. So if you're sitting here and you're saying, oh my God, when can I leave? You know, this guy is so friggin' boring. I can't believe it. I don't want to get out of my seat yet because, you know, it would look rude. Other people are going to look at me, you know. There's a guy with a camera in the back. He might be able to get me on camera, you know. I'll be embarrassed. I'm going to wait for the break. Didn't he say there was going to be a break? Oh my God, this sucks. And then, that's the belief. And then there's a consequence. And the consequence is that you're unhappy. You're sitting, you're unhappy, and you start to do a slow burn. Why did I come here? I can't believe I came here. You know I never get anything out of these talks, and this guy is a blowhard. I don't know why he's doing this. And so the consequence is that you're going to be upset. You might be angry, you might be frustrated, you might be resentful. So, how do you change this? Well, it goes to D. You have to argue with yourself. And this goes for every situation in your life. But the argument, the dispute, has to be something you believe. Okay? So, what would be a dispute here? Well, you might say, well, you know what? It's actually not entirely nonsense. There were a couple of things I remembered. And, you know, sometimes when I go to lectures, they're good. You know, this one didn't happen to be, but, you know, that doesn't mean that I'm stupid because I came, you know. Maybe things will get a little bit better as time goes on. These are all statements that you would be able to believe. And when you tell yourself things you can believe that are not awful, they're not terrible, they're not demands, your temperature goes down. Now, it doesn't disappear. If you don't like something, you don't like something. The question is, how much don't you like it? So there's a big difference between, I can't stand this, that puts your emotions all the way up here, and, you know, I don't like this, but I can stand it. Puts your emotions all the way down here. And the truth of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, that in almost every case, the true statement is, I just don't like it. Well, we can go on. Why do I have to like everything that happens to me? Other people have the right to be wrong. Who am I that's so special in the world that everything has to be the way I like it? Where did I get that idea? And when we tell ourselves these true disputes, our temperature goes down. Okay? And it leads to E, which is an effective strategy for dealing with whatever's going on. Now, I'm going to keep going back to this as we talk about different scenarios, but it's helpful to think about the fact that I am upset not because of what happened, but because what I'm telling myself about what happened. So what am I telling myself? I often, even usually, encourage clients to write down their thoughts. What am I thinking about this that's getting me upset? And then go over those thoughts and say, well, is that absolutely true? Or am I exaggerating some of the aspects? And when you write it down, you really want to, you know, if you're feeling horrible, you have to write down, this is horrible. And again, most of the time, thankfully, what happens to us isn't horrible. But it might be quite unpleasant. So here's some irrational beliefs. Everybody I love is going to love me unstintingly just the way I want them to. They're going to see all my finer qualities and ignore my thoughts. Because if you love me, then you wouldn't care that I'm full of crap. You wouldn't care that I don't reciprocate. Because you have to love me the way I say I want to be loved. That's an irrational thought. People who do things I think are wrong should be damned forever, and I will hate them with a terrific passion. Now, you know, we're in the midst of an election cycle, in case any of you didn't note that. We have a presidential election coming up, and I'm fairly active on social networking. And I'll tell you something, it is really annoying. I see on both sides. It's like, I don't care, you know? It's like, do people who post this stuff on Facebook and other sites really believe that someone who disagrees with them is going to look at this picture or this quote and say, oh my God, yeah, I'm not voting for him. I'm voting for the other guy, you know, because you changed my mind. And there was a kitten in the picture. You know, there might be some people who vote for Obama because Romney put his dog on the roof of his car, but I would say that's a fairly stupid reason to pick a president. You know, it's like, I don't like the fact that Romney put the dog on his car, but that's not how I choose candidates, you know? But, hey, everybody's got the right to be wrong, right? So if you're going to vote the dog vote, be my guest. All right, things are terrible and horrible if they don't go the way I want. Of course, we've been talking about that, right? The world doesn't owe you anything. And if you can make friends with that, then, you know, I hate to use the cliche, but it's like count your blessings. You know, everybody here looks reasonably well fed. You all got here and there's no buses that come by, so you either have a vehicle or you know somebody that you could take it from. My unhappiness is caused by the behavior of others. Your behavior, your unhappiness is caused by you. Other people do crappy things to us. How we deal with them is what we're accountable for. If you're miserable, that's on you. If you won't figure out a way to not be miserable, that's not the other person's fault. It is their responsibility, though, that they did this. And if you're going to continue to be in a relationship with them, then that's your responsibility. But it's not their fault you're miserable. I have to be highly competent and on top of my game all the time. A lot of people are actually perfectionists, which never made sense to me because you can never reach perfection. So you're going to be miserable all the time. It's like, my goal has never been to be the best. And you know what? I win every time. Because I'm never the best. It's great. It's great. I said, my goal is to put reasonable effort into what I do. And reasonable effort, what's the definition of reasonable effort? Whatever I decide reasonable effort is. That's what reasonable effort is. So I am totally responsible for what I do. And I don't seek perfection because I'm never going to be perfect. And so when I make mistakes, I say, oops. Oop, didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to say that. Sorry about that. If I make a mess, I clean it up. Or I attempt to clean it up. Sometimes I can't always clean it up. You make messes. If you make a mess, the only thing that's rational is you clean up the mess. What are you going to feel miserable about yourself for? You already did it. Right? You already did it. The time to feel miserable is before you do it. Right? You do it. You did it. Okay. I can't help the way I feel it runs in my family. This is something I have to say that is somewhat annoying to me. When people will come in and they'll say, well, I want anger management therapy. Actually, the judge told me that I have to come here for anger management therapy. But it's not going to work. Well, why isn't it going to work? Because I'm Irish. And Irish people have bad tempers. I say, really? Really, every single Irish person has a bad temper. There isn't a person in Ireland. You get off the plane, they punch you right in the face. Not a person in Ireland doesn't have a bad temper. It's ridiculous. But people use it as an excuse. I'm angry because my parents were angry. Well, I understand your parents were angry. What are you angry about? You know, you want to let yourself off the hook, let yourself off the hook. But you're not going to change your behavior. And you're going to continue to be unhappy.